Hi, this is Wishop, and this is your card reading for the new moon in Leo of August 21st, 2017, which is also the solar eclipse, which here in the US is a total solar eclipse in parts of the country. So if you're in the path of totality, you should enjoy it, but even if you're not, you'll notice the difference. So that's a big thing people are talking about. Lots of people have lots of stuff to say that's really worthwhile. One thing I wanted to talk about was that Mercury Retrograde is going on in the same period, and I think these events are dovetailing together to provide opportunities. I made another video talking at length about the kinds of situations you could see in this Mercury retrograde and how you could be opportunistic about them to create long-term benefits for yourself. So if that's something you'd like, I will eventually get that video posted, hopefully today, and put it at the end of this video too, and then you can have both of them. But this I'm doing like a regular old card reading, not musing on Mercury retrograde. I did pull a few cards, but it's mostly talking based on some of the astrology and that kind of thing. Anyway, here we are at the solar eclipse. So I want to talk about the nuts and bolts. So I'm using Lenormand. Practical ways we can work with this, because I believe this solar eclipse is going to bring in deep, big spiritual energies that are just not able to be predicted. And so they're going to be so personal to each one of us that I think trying to predict them in a larger sense is maybe not going to be that useful, because it's going to be kind of transformative energy within us. So how can we know what it'll feel like when we're different people, so to speak? Anyway, and when we are different than the person we woke up as, if you will. So I thought I would do something a little more grounded, which can be a very good thing to remember in this kind of heightened energetic atmosphere, to remember your grounding, to put your feet on the earth, to touch a tree, to think about reaching deep down into the heart of the earth to find your anchor. Because when you find your anchor deep in the earth, then the winds blowing above aren't going to blow you over, but you can enjoy the benefits of this heightened dynamic energy. So let's get to the Lenormand. This is the Retro Lenormand by Alexandre Musruck, which is often what I use because I just love it. Here we go. All right. Okay. So what we have is the ship in the center, and we have the mountain on the left side, and we have the whip on the right side. So the ship can be a card that a lot of people use for jobs. It's a card for journeying. I think of it as a card that has association with the Sagittarian ninth house. So sort of new frontiers, exploring, trailblazing, that kind of thing. The mountain can traditionally be a card of obstacles, difficult things to get around, things of long standing. The whip can also be thought of as a difficult card, a card that has to do with conflict and strife. Also things which are physically demanding or physically punishing, this kind of a thing. So let me tell you the ways I also think about these cards. For me, ship, because in this particular card deck, I have this fleet of ships, and it's as if they're coming to the rescue, sort of. For me, this particular ship card in this deck is kind of an angelic card. It's kind of mustering your spiritual forces, and they all flow to your aid. They're in motion, and they're coming at you. They're coming towards you. You know, there's a sense that you call in the cavalry with this particular example of this ship card. And ship can mean that you are traveling over the ocean, of course, but it can also mean that you are exploring new things, new studies, new lines of inquiry. So this could mean that in this time period, you've been thinking about something new. Could be new career, new endeavor, something. You're branching out, you're stretching, you're expanding. This is a very expansive kind of a card. And in the past, we have the sense of limitation. We have the sense of limitation. But we also have the sense of solidity, right? We have this sense of, if you were the ship and you were anchored to this mountain, you would be very stable. And now the winds are going to blow and you're leaving the mountain and you're going into a situation that is dynamic and fluid. So instead of being stable and predictable like the mountain, we're going into something like the whip. Things are flying. And I think of the mountain as a card of Saturn, so it can be something that moves slowly. Yes, it can be limiting, but sometimes we get very attached to our own limitations because we're used to them. They are our common crosses to bear, you could say, and we've grown accustomed to them. The whip offers new challenges, and these challenges are fluid. They're moving. We can't think that we know what it's going to mean. Like the mountain is the brick wall you've been pushing up against for years. And suddenly, like maybe with this eclipse energy, that wall comes down. And like the ship, you're free to roam and you move out past it. And then the whip presents you with this new chaotic world that you've suddenly broken into. You're like, what the heck is going on? And it can feel chaotic and strange. The whip is also, for me, some people see it as a card of the moon because it can be tied to sex. I also see it as a card of Mars. It can be a card of physicality, of physical activity. So let's say it was exercise. This would be a card I would associate with physical exercise, physical training. So when you think of the idea of physical training or exercise, and I think I'm sort of thinking of it because I have these ships in formation, and the idea of like your angelic army coming in formation and ranks and the organization of things. And Saturn, the mountain, it is very organized, right? We've got all our peaks and valleys and everything's in its place. You're going to go into a new situation which is very fluid and things aren't going to be in their place. And you are going to have to put in discipline, if you will. And it could be discipline on yourself or discipline on the situation. You're going to have to master a new situation which is coming forth. But look at what you've already mastered. This, like one guy with the whip, is not a bigger deal than this huge mountain that you've overcome. So really, even though it's new and strange and fluid, you have the capacity. You have the spiritual forces at your back. You have the knowledge and expertise to take on this new challenge. And when you do, you're going to have to bring it into organization because it's going to be chaotic at first. And that may take some strain on your part. You're going to be working muscles that you didn't know you had. You're going to, I think it's going to take some maneuvering, and it may not seem totally comfortable. I'm sorry, my dog's kind of going crazy in the background and her tags are all clinking, and she's just, what can I say? That's who she is. Now she's like snorting like a truffle pig, which she also does. So anyway, but here you go. So you're stepping into something that's kind of chaotic, kind of new. She's feeling very physically wound up right now. Cut it out. Cut it out. And you're going to have to discipline yourself, or discipline your army of truffle pigs, or, somehow you're going to have to put order into a situation that's been disordered. This is your new adventure. This is your new challenge. So I think where we have the ship and it's sort of facing the mountain, the idea is you're going to break out into something new, and it's going to be intimidating. It's going to look like, I don't know how to handle this. And you might want to turn around and head back to what you know. And I've actually seen this in other readings that that I've put on the channel recently. Like, you want to turn and head for home. You're like, I'm just going to go back to what I was doing before. It might have been not my ideal, not my dream come true, but at least I felt capable of handling it. You are capable of handling this. You are more than capable of handling this. You just have to get your head around the scope of the problem, and you can do it. Leo says, be proud of yourself, that this is a Leo Aquarius kind of axis. So Aquarius is in the south node, meaning you're leaving previous associations, previous preconceptions, maybe previous harsh judgments you've made on other people or on yourself. Aquarius, when it's unbalanced, is hypercritical, can be cutting, can be, like I said, judgmental, perfectionistic. This is not the most beautiful part of Aquarius. The most beautiful part of the Aquarius is the creative problem solving, the humanitarian aims, the high ideals. Keep that stuff. And then head forward using that Leo power with the north node of the moon, using your personal pride, using your charisma. I want to talk about the fact your charisma is going to be lit up during this time, and other people's too. You may feel like you're facing something challenging, but you have a lot of charm right now. You have a lot of luck with you. Don't be afraid to let your light shine a little more. Don't be afraid to step out and be a little bit more of an individual. That is partially how you're going to get these wild, untamed forces to fall in line behind you. How you're going to organize these events, these people, these tasks in your life. So I pulled a tarot card. This is from the Polloi deck. And I also pulled a Angel Answers card. This is a new deck for me, but I'm enjoying it. It very much clashes with the cloth I have behind it. But here we go. So here's our emphasis cards. Two of Swords. Okay. And look for a sign. And look at this lightning bolt. Can you imagine? That's the eclipse, right? There's this lightning bolt. And here's the Two of Swords. That is sort of saying, it's also for me attached to Libra and Saturn. Keep your powder dry, stay calm. I talk about that a lot in the Mercury Retrograde video. What you're trying to do is stay calm and feel strong in yourself and look for that creative solution. So you want to stay cool, and the Two of Swords stays cool. You will find the right thing and you will take the right action, but you'll do it by not feeling like you have to act too quickly. Whatever chaos you see right now is temporary. It's a flowing through. There's like this expression of a ton of energy, like I talked about breaking through a brick wall. And you sort of imagine when you break through something and you stumble at first because you had to rev up so much momentum to get through the thing that now on the other side you're kind of stumbling as you try to use up some of that excess energy without falling down. That's what's going to be happening. We're all going to be kind of stumbling. We're breaking through something. And so it's important to just try to keep your balance as well as you can. And don't look so much at needing to keep running. You don't have to keep running. When you get your breakthrough, sit there with your breakthrough and really let it become a part of you. Whatever it is you're doing right now, whatever breakthroughs you're feeling in whatever parts of your life, you own them and you've worked for them. Try to get acclimated to this new you. Like, really, where am I now? Because whatever it is you've overcome is now in your past. And whatever future you're facing is undefined. But you, believing in you and your own personal strength, have what you need to turn this into your next great triumph, your next best year, your most wonderful accomplishments, your greatest joy. So break through that wall, give yourself a second to rest, don't feel like you have to react, and then go forward and marshal the beautiful, glorious, potential-filled chaos in front of you. So I hope you like that, and thanks for your likes, your comments, and your subscriptions, and rock on with your bad selves.